Farmers and wage workers help feed the world and ensure food security, but very often they are poor. Rural families form the vast majority of the world's poorest people. Much of our food and drink, as well as the raw materials we use to make other products, however, are produced by child labor. Child labor in agriculture is a global phenomenon found in developed and developing countries. Worldwide, agriculture is the sector where by far the largest share of working children is found, nearly 70%, according to the International Labour Organization's international program to eliminate child labor. 132 million girls and boys aged 5 to 14 years old. Girls are particularly disadvantaged as they often undertake household chores either before or after working in the fields. But what is child labor? Child labor does not include all work done by children. Worldwide, there are 318 million children carrying out some form of work. A third of these children are not considered child laborers. They contribute to the family's well-being, helping out with tasks outside school hours. The remaining 218 million, however, are engaged in child labor, 126 million of whom are involved in hazardous child labor. According to the ILO, child labor is work that harms, abuses, and exploits a child, or deprives a child of an education. The main category of child labor in agriculture is what is termed hazardous child labor. Agriculture is one of the most hazardous forms of work at any age, along with mining and construction, in terms of work-related fatalities, injuries, and ill health. In agriculture, child laborers are at greater risk than adults when working in the same situation because their minds and bodies are growing and developing. They lack work experience and may be unaware of the hazards and risks they face. Some of the hazards include long working hours, carrying heavy loads over long distance, extreme temperatures, dangerous cutting tools, skin problems, injury or death from heavy machinery, loud noise, handling of toxic pesticides, exposure to high levels of organic dust, injury or disease from livestock and wild animals, and injury or death from falling. Florina is 13 and helps out on her family's farm in Romania.
I'm afraid of the tractor. When I feel it is getting closer, my heart beats fast because I can't see it. And that dust, when the tractor comes, it brings up all the dust from the wheat. If you inhale the dust, you can cough all day long.
Children breathe more deeply and frequently than adults. Regular exposure to organic dust puts them at greater risk of developing allergic respiratory diseases such as asthma.
If the girl stays with me all day long, then I earn around $8. But if she doesn't, I only get $7. I can't do all the work by myself. My husband is sick. There's no other solution than for her to continue coming to work with me.
Children often work long hours in the field.
Ai fost și anul trecut sau e primul an când lucrezi la tutun?
Am fost un...
La ce vârstă lucrezi? La câți anișori lucrezi?
Nu știu.
Când te duci acasă?
Doamne, că mai soarele sor.
Și la cât te culci? De școală la 4?
La vreo 7.
In Cameroon, child labor is cheap labor in the cocoa plantations. Children collect and carry heavy loads of cocoa pods that harm the development of their bones, joints, and muscles and may result in permanent disability. In Cameroon, Ghana, Nigeria, and the Côte d'Ivoire, over 150,000 children in 2002 were involved in the handling and application of pesticides on cocoa plantations. Children are at greater risk from repeated exposure to pesticides than adults. They have a higher capacity to absorb toxic substances, whether through breathing or through the skin. Children themselves often prepare the pesticide mixtures, which can cause nerve damage and other health problems. Children should not be working with or be exposed to pesticides. The ILO and local NGOs set up a pilot project to help Cameroonian children leave the cocoa plantations and go to school.
Investing in a child today is better for the future, and keeping the child out of school is actually delaying the child's future and perpetuating poverty.
Hundreds of Brazilian children in Retrolandia used to work in sisal production. They no longer do, thanks to an ILO program that put the children in school and the parents to work. There was no shortage of unemployed adults to do the job, but these children were cheaper, even though the conditions they worked in, dusty and hot, broke almost every rule in the book.
Nós temos o trabalho da criança muito perigoso na área do sisal, na colheita, na hora de cortar o sisal. Nós temos em nosso município criança cega do olho na hora que foi se abaixar para cortar o sisal.
The situation for working children in the region is extremely dangerous. We have children who have been blinded because thorns from sisal leaves went into their eyes. We have children who have lost a hand in the shredding machine. They work without any protective clothing. So the unions are very concerned. We are committed, not just here in Retrolandia, but all across the country, to rescue the children from the exploitation, to put them into good schools so they can have a better future.
Nós acreditamos que dia a gente vamos tirar essas crianças do trabalho e colocar numa escola de qualidade para que essas crianças no futuro tenham uma vida melhor.
The majority of children have since been removed from Retrolandia's sisal production due to the success of a goat-to-school program supported by the ILO and the National Confederation of Workers in Agriculture. Goats are loaned to families who can use them for income if they remove children from work and send them to school. In the coffee and tea plantations of Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, the ILO has been working with trade unions, employers' organizations, and government to end child labor.
The unions have been very active, and they've tried to sensitize employers that it is wrong to employ children. You deny them a lot of opportunities, and I think it has made an impact.
Multinational enterprises often source their raw materials from local suppliers and may not be aware of the use of child labor in their production chains. Companies like Philip Morris International realize that the elimination of child labor not only is a moral imperative, but good business sense as well.
Our suppliers are required to go out into the tobacco fields, visit tobacco fields, ensure that children are not in the fields growing tobacco, and ensure that children are in school. We have a role to play in helping to address and helping to solve some of these issues. It's both a moral issue, a responsibility, but there is also a clear business interest and a business need to do this as a corporation.
Ronel is 12 and works full-time in the sugarcane plantations of the Philippines. For now, the future of Ronel and his friends in the Philippines remains the same: weeding, cultivating, turning soil, cutting sugarcane, harvesting, and applying fertilizers and pesticides. Ronel says his hands itch, a reaction to the pesticides he handles daily. Ronel says he has no choice, but like every child, he has dreams and aspirations, and they do not include being poisoned by chemical pesticides and wounded from a sharp blade.
Nais ko doktor